Great experiences build great leaders. Great leaders build great teams. This is Building Great Sales Teams.
All right, guys, welcome back to Building Great Sales Teams. Thank you so much for tuning in. I've got a special guest for you guys today. His name is Joe Graham. He's a top seller for a Fortune 100 company in the B2B space. He's a sales coach setting up selling systems for B2B businesses, and he's the host of the 150K podcast, and they are 140 episodes in. Joe, welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm super excited to be here.
Awesome.
Can you hear my pug in the background?
Just a little bit.
Sorry. So full disclosure, and this is a funny story. We went 400 miles all the way on a vacation back home and rescued 4 pug puppies. I think my wife took the other one out. She'll grab them in a moment. Sorry about that.
No, you're good, man. You're in the midst of it right now. So I have a similar story. About a month ago, maybe 6 weeks, my wife brought home a stray from a duck pond, right? Mm-hmm. And so I have chickens and ducks.
Yeah.
And so, first of all, I'm mad because she didn't talk to me about it before. She totally fell for it with the kids. Mm-hmm. They suckered her into it. And I come home and there's this new dog. So we have a boxer. You know, mm-hmm. I've had mutts most of my life, rescues, stuff like that. But this was the first dog I actually purchased, and literally my best dog ever. You know, he's a kid protector, all that good stuff. But anyways, so 2 weeks into having her, we realized she's got an appetite for ducks, and we have ducks.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I won't get too detailed about that, but basically we only have 1 duck left.
Oh no. Yeah, no, yeah. We actually have 7 dogs. So we are a little bit crazy in that regards. We have 2 older rescued pugs, a rescued black lab, and now we have 4 pug puppies. Yes, we're crazy. I don't know. Everyone has their weirdness. We like pugs, and they're all rescues. I didn't buy any of these dogs. Well, rephrase, I had to pay for their shots and stuff, but
right.
They just either you like pugs or you don't. I know that's totally not what we're here to talk about. We can talk about other stuff, but hey, I can have 7 dogs because I'm successful. No.
There you go. That's what's up. Okay, so you got 18 years in sales and leadership. What are some of the milestones that you've crossed that you'd like to talk about from that?
Sure. I think it's been failing forward and learning as I've gone. Milestones I've won the President's Circle for a Fortune 100 company the last 5 years in a row. I've won multiple awards. Pretty much any industry I've been in, I've won different awards. But for me, the milestones was being able to take my family to Disney for the first time, going to Hawaii for 4 times. We're going again, actually, in November to do a half marathon. My wife and I are, which is kind of a cool thing to do. Because I'm all about life by design and all. Sales is my toolbox. I do sales, I'm good at sales, but in reality, I do sales so that I can go and have a life that I love to live. I told a buddy of mine, I want to have a life where I am creating a life where I don't have bucket lists. I live a bucket list life every day. And that's kind of what sales has done for me. So milestones, I've won multiple awards in different industries, from when I've worked for the company I'm with now to when I sold heavy equipment to when I sold investments, that whole gambit. I even did some door-to-door sales back in the day when I was first starting out.
My man. Yeah, that's where I started as well. So let's kind of go back there a little bit. When did you realize, oh, hey, there's this sales thing. I'm kind of good at it. I don't even have to be good at it. I just have to work hard, and I can make more money than my friends and family.
I fell into it. So here's the thing. I grew up in the Midwest. I had that Midwest mentality. You go to school, you get a job, you're supposed to get married, do that stuff. The company I was working for downsized, and I was pretty much cut from what I was going to be able to do. So I had one option. I could get a sales job. I fell into sales. In fact, the very first presentation I did, I had the manager there. I looked at the guy, go, I can't do this. This is with flip charts and stuff. And the guy goes, dude, I love Home Depot. I'm going to buy anyway. And I'm like, oh, crap. This is not about me. That was that pivotal moment that I realized, wait a minute. He doesn't care about me at all. He just cares if I can help him. And once I reframed that, I learned that process. And then I just started leveling up. And when the door-to-door stuff, I would go and just knock 100 doors every day and just keep getting better and keep getting better. And then starting to relate to people and connect with people. I think actually for sales, if you start out with door-to-door, that's the best option because you have to be able to be quick on your feet. You have to connect with them immediately, overcome the objections, do this stuff. Now, I love B2B sales. That's my game now. But in that, the door-to-door thing, it's like not fun. But once you do that, nothing's going to surprise you. When you have too many old dudes come out in their underwear, because not like the movies, it's not like some hot person's coming up to the door. It's an old dude in dirty underwear standing there and then wanting to talk to you for 30 minutes, and you had to figure out a way to sell them or other stuff. It's never the, bright, wonderful picture that they have or the one-liner, and then just learning and growing. And that's when I started that whole journey, and I fell in love with sales. And when I made that first roof sale and I got $1,000 check, and my day job before then was paying me like $500 for every 2 weeks, I'm like, holy crap. In 1 hour, I made more than that. And then you graduate, because I was thinking about this, because when I was doing oil and gas investment, after a holiday, I talked to this doctor, and he invested $250,000, and I made $25,000 in 7-minute conversation. And that was like, nowhere else in any other type of thing can you do that. So when you get good at sales, that blew me away there.
Yeah, you can't leave that lifestyle after that. You're just like, this is it.
Well, it's entrepreneur light. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. But I mean, it's just entrepreneur light. You don't have the overhead. You don't have the business cost per se, the marketing, all that stuff, but you can make really good money.
Well, and I think that's the evolution that you're going through right now. It's like, hey, I've been selling, for the better part of my life now. I can transfer these skills into entrepreneurship because they transfer so well. And so you're doing consulting now, and you got the 150K podcast. So tell me which came first and what's kind of the design now.
Yeah, the 150K podcast came first. So I was doing sales, winning awards, and I kept having people ask me, hey, can you help me? And I'm like, I don't know. I can help. I give them a little bit of information, but I wasn't charging or anything. And I was like, I hit 100,000, then I hit 200,000, and I was doing really good. I'm like, I want to help dads. It was just in my head at the time because I'm a dad, and I got kids to take their family to Disney, to do the Hawaii thing, to do the things that, you want to do. So I started the podcast on a whim. I'm like, I'm just going to do one. I have a buddy named Zach Babcock, and he goes, if you could do 15 episodes, I'll come on your show. Yeah, he's been on my show 3 times, but that's how I met him. I don't even remember how I met him online, but he's like, if you do 15, I'll come on your show. He was my 22nd episode, and I think my 84th. And I'm like, well, crap. I know the sales process. I can do 15. First 10 sucked. Like with the podcast, because they do. You don't know what you're doing. You're just doing the thing, trying to learn. And so the podcast came first. And then I started, helping people that were reaching out to me. And I wasn't charging them. And my wife was like, well, first, what's easy for you is not easy for them. And second, I was seeing they were not applying themselves. So then I started charging people, saying, hey, you got to have some skin in the game. And then people started reaching out to me because I'm really good in the B2B space, which is systems and processes and cold calling and doing the things correctly over a longer sales cycle. And that's when I started actually more focusing on helping businesses set up their sales teams, kind of like what you do in that regard, because business owners have a need. They'll invest in their employees. You help them. They get more money. Their employees get more money. It's kind of a win-win there. That was kind of the transformation of it.
No, that makes a ton of sense. And that's what happens. You start having these conversations with these higher level individuals and you realize, oh, this is the piece that they're missing, And for me, I joined Apex. I think Zach was in there for a little bit. And that's how I met him. But I joined Apex and I'm around all these multi-million-dollar business owners and thinking I'm the imposter, you know what I mean? And then they're like, so you do sales, right? And it's like, yeah, I've got, 40 plus guys, selling all over the country, whatever. And they're like, how do you recruit them? How do you do this? How do you make sure that they don't oversell or underpromise, overdeliver, overpromise, underdeliver? And so I started walking them through my systems and they're like, hey, can you do that for my company? And I'm like, yeah, sure I can. How much would you charge me? 10 grand. You know what I mean? Okay. You start tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay. So that's how this works, right? Kind of fell into it, like you said, and realized that I had something there. I'd been doing it for 13 years, like building sales teams, different clients, different products. We sold Spectrum for a bit, residential door to door. And it's been a beautiful thing for sure. And so on the podcasting side, you're 140 episodes in now. Are you doing one a week?
Yeah, I'm releasing one a week. Yep.
Okay. And so do you kind of compound them all at once, knock them out, and then you're good for a couple weeks, or how do you work your system there?
It depends. So some weeks, like I took June off because I had some family stuff, so I took the whole month of June off. But I had 12 deep, so I'll
Yeah.
do two a week a lot of times, so that when when I go to Hawaii in September, I have it set up. I like to compound them just that way. If I have something come up, I don't have to worry about it. That's just it seemed to be simple for me. Do two, three in a week, and I'm good to go.
That makes a ton of sense. So whenever you're, you know, and we all know how sales is, like you've got to put in this foundation of work, which means hours, which means working more than is traditional, right? And then you've got a family on top of that. You have 3 kids. What ages are they now?
8, 18, and 20.
Oh, okay. So like most of your life you've been parenting, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
yeah. Got
so
married young, had kids young. Yes.
yeah, and same here. Mine are 9, 11, and 12. And so, but I grouped them together a little bit, so I'm past the like little one stage, And
Yeah.
so I know during that stage is where I did a lot of my work. I got a lot of my experience. I put in 50, 60-hour weeks, all that kind of stuff. And so I definitely sacrificed a lot then, more than I should have. And so
Yeah.
did you run into those challenges, and kind of how do you deal with them now that you have the 8-year-old? You've raised 2 adults already, so now you've got the experience, and maybe you're architecting your life a little more.
Yeah. So in the beginning, every sales guy does that because when you're learning, you have to get the hours in. You have to
Yeah.
go do it. And anytime you switch roles, you have to do it again.
Yeah.
So what I ended up doing is I learned how to time block. So like with phone sales and doing that, I have golden hours. I have set time blocks that I would do it. But I also learned that I would date my kids. Boys, girls, didn't matter. I would make time and be intentional with that each and every week where I would take them to maybe it was McDonald's or Chick-fil-A at the time or whatever it was for them. And I kept that relationship. And then there was a time when my son was playing baseball that I made a decision to slow down with the sales process. Now, mind you, I had been 10 years in, so I knew what I was doing. I
Right.
could predict what I was doing with the sales. I
Higher
had a steady
conversion
thing.
rates.
Yeah, I knew I wasn't like green. So I took a little bit of a break, and for those 2 years, I was the assistant baseball coach. I suck at baseball, but it was time to spend with him because
Yep.
if you're building a life like this, the thing you need to remember is this. Don't say you're building a life for your family if you're not spending time with your family. If you're doing it for you, say you're doing it for you. Just be honest with it. I mean, there's going to take time and grit and learning and leveling up. And then I started doing podcasting and reading books and taking trainings and courses and all the stuff that you needed to do so that I could shrink time. And then you just get good at it because the more you do something and you learn and grow from it, make the caveat there, the better you get.
No, I couldn't agree more. And I would imagine that you're doing the same thing with your wife. Y'all do like a weekly date night, bi-weekly date night.
Yeah, we do the date nights. We do stuff. It might even be as simple as going for a walk. And then every night around 9 o'clock to 10, we have an hour where we might have baseball on because we're Rangers fans, or we might have like a movie on or something. And I make sure we have time. Is it always perfect? No, life happens. There's going to be craziness. But we try to make that because I'm building my life with my best friend. I want her to experience all this stuff. She was with me when I sucked and it was bad and we were trying to do all this stuff and it wasn't good. So now she gets to go and do stuff. Like the reason we're doing the half marathon is because that was a thing that she wanted to do. Now we're walking it. We're not running. I'm not saying I'm going to be like super fast, but I'm going to be in Hawaii. Oh no, I'm going to be in Hawaii for 10 days. I got to work out one day. Okay, please sign me up. But it's because of sales and building businesses and connections and relationships I've been able to do that. So, yeah, family first for me. I'm a big relationships first type of person.
Yeah, Hawaii, a marathon in Hawaii. I have a new bucket list item now.
Half marathon. I'm only doing the half. We thought about doing
okay.
the full, and I'm like, I've never done a marathon. I
Yeah.
used to do cross country. I'm like, we're going to do a half. So 13.2 miles
Yeah.
on Kauai. But Kauai is amazing, dude. You got to go. If you haven't been there, it's worth it.
No, I love it. I did a marathon last year, and I did it with another friend of mine, and the weekend that we decided to do it, his had an organized event and mine didn't. But I have a 6-mile block around my house, and so basically my wife and kids set up the table. They were my
Nice.
break station. You know what I mean? And so basically, I went by 5 times total because I had to finish. I had to go past and then back to finish. and they had breaks, they had sandwiches for me, all that good stuff, and they made me a sign. So in my mind, that was better than doing one with everybody else. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And but all I did was just kept moving forward. It was like 5 hours or something. It wasn't anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Speed
you
wise,
did
just to
it.
say I did it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all it was. I did cross country in high school too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No, I
so
love that. I love that.
yeah, no, I appreciate it. And so I see a huge correlation between sales, self development, and then basically these bucket list items that you're talking about. You know, sales forces us to grow. It's an uncomfortable growth that most people never have to go through because they get these tasks, they complete the task, they go home, they turn on the Netflix, and that's life. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I am 100%. I go through my phases where it's like we have the certain show and we're watching it 5 nights in a row. You
Yep.
know,
Yep.
we're binging it, and then we have other seasons where it's baseball practice, it's basketball practice, it's all these other things, you know, and then we have other seasons where we're in the Bible, you know, we're reading a book together. Right now we're reading my kids have gotten a little spoiled, so we're trying to like reset them a little bit. So we're reading A Child Called It. I don't know if you ever read that book
Nope.
before.
Nope.
Oh man, it's intense. But anyways, we're going through that book right now. But anyway, I say all that to say, where have you found your growth and development outside of those sales roles? You said you know Zach. Are you part of his network?
Oh yeah, I'm in his group. I'm not gonna make it to the new event, but I went to the event last year. I'm in another gym. I don't know if you know who George Bryant is. I've been to his events a couple times. He's friends with
So-
Brian Bogart. I think you know Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's friends with Brian, and I met Brian at his events. But
Nice.
George has helped me with like stillness practices, meditation, walking, doing things that will refresh me because I'm actually more of an introvert. I know it's crazy. Sales, you think that people are extroverts. It's really not the case all
Yeah.
the time. I actually get recharged by being alone and not having a bunch of people around.
Yeah.
But I've learned to do stillness practices. If you follow my socials at all, I walk a lot. Like I walk a crap ton. That's good for me. And then getting in groups. So like I know a lot of people. I'm not in Apex, but I know a lot of people in Apex.
Yeah.
I have a lot of entrepreneur friends. I go to events. I connect with just different people that have the same mindset and leveling up, and then reading books and just doing things that will, make me grow to become the person I need to be. I think a lot of times people forget and mess up is that you're the secret sauce. A sales process is a sales process. It doesn't matter what it is. If you do the right and on calls, you learn your product, your services, you learn how to overcome the objections and guide the customer to a decision, you're good. Well, then what's the distinguishing factor? How you show up, how you serve your customer, how you help people. Do you make them feel seen and heard? Do you make them feel appreciated? That whole different aspects. But if you don't have yourself filled up, you can't do that for them. So I schedule time for me to do that too. I do acupuncture, or I always say it wrong, acupuncture, whatever that is.
Yeah.
My wife's laughing at me. I can't say stuff right, but I sell a lot. I don't know. It works. And then
I think you disarm them right away. Yeah.
Yeah, well, being authentically you. Like, if you're 100% you and you're not coming across as a salesy, because I know there's always that bad thought of sales are icky or whatever. And in reality, if you just come across as you're helping them, I call it like the Ziegler method. That's what he did, help as many people as you can. And you're authentic, people love it. It just makes them feel more confident and safe, and then they don't feel the pressure of sales because now you're just helping them to make a decision. And if they don't make it for you, great. I refer people away. I tell people all the time, this is not the right option for you. I've made managers mad before, but you know what's crazy? They refer back to me people that are like way better deals for me because I did them a solid first.
Well, and then also every now and then they try to sell you on why they should be a customer. You know what I mean?
No,
You
I
do the
want to.
takeaway.
Yep.
You do the takeaway, and they're like, no. Okay, how do I make sure I'm fit for this? They're like, I'll change my stuff to get your product. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I've done that before too. It's just it's funny because it's so natural now, and when you do it right, then they're like, no, it's okay, and it's just funny to see them do that.
Oh, 100%. No, I remember, training managers to train other guys, and they're like, like you're psychologically manipulating them, and I'm like, yeah, great. I'm okay with that. You know why? Because I have the best fucking product out there. I truly believe I have the best product. So why would I not find a way to convince them to get it? You know what I'm saying? I'm doing the service here. Like I would do a disservice to them if I didn't, put them in a state where they could make a decision. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes that's all it is putting them in a state where they can make a decision.
Well, that's our job. Our job is to close all the doors of doubts and get it down to value versus cost. Is my value enough for you to make the purchase. If not, cool. I'll go on to someone that I can help. But in reality, once I close all the other doors, that's it. Does this bring you enough value to meet your problem, to meet your needs, to help you? Which I know it is because, like you said, I do what I do because I know it works and it helps people. And people can sense that. You can sense when someone's trying to get a deal from you and someone's trying to help you or, meet your need.
Yeah, when someone's trying to get a paycheck or they're trying to get a raving customer,
Yeah.
So it's not often I hear things I haven't heard before, especially inside of sales, right? But close all the doors of doubt. I love that. Where'd you hear that from? Is that your own saying, or where did that come from?
It was one of those. I don't know if I heard it from someone or I was doing like a training thing and I was thinking, I got to get them there, and I pictured a hallway and like if I close these doors, they can only get them down to the end to the 2, and I did like a little content piece and I put it on there, closing the doors of doubt, and my buddy Tim Kaiser goes, dude, I love that. So I thought about it more and I did some reels on it, but I'm not saying I'm original because I don't think there's really an original thought. I probably heard it somewhere in the past, so if someone's listening, I don't know if it was from me or maybe I heard it from them, but yeah.
That's gonna be a piece of our content that we put out for this episode, and it'll be a quote. We do the Instagram stories and then we quote our guests. We're definitely using that one. I think right away it'll click for so many people. All I have to do is close all the doors of doubt, and then the customer's going to sign up, or the customer will be led to a decision. Yeah, 100%. Okay, so on the consulting side, businesses, what is like the overarching thing, the number one thing you immediately point out that they're doing wrong in their sales process?
Talking about them and their business. Number one thing, because customers do not care about your business. They don't care about you. They don't even care about your solution until they know you can help them. So if you can actually get them to start, like, if you're talking more than your customer, you're losing in the beginning because you're trying to find information out about them. You're trying to do different things. So that at the end, you can come and say, hey, now my business can do this, but you base it off of their pain points and their stuff. New salespeople do this all the time. Customers, especially entrepreneurs, because they're really excited about what they're doing, they talk over their customers. They do this. Oh, and I can do this, and I can do this, and that. And they're like, I just wanted to know if you do this one thing. Yeah. Make your life easy. Find out their pain point. I customize a solution for their pain point. And then they just increase in sales because now you're not wasting time. You're helping the customer. And sales is so simple, but it's hard.
Yeah. It's hard because our tendency is to talk about ourselves. Our tendency is to overcompensate, to make sure like, hey, anything you could ever want to solve, I can solve it. And I'm the expert, you know what I mean? And you're going to work with me. It's going to be like magic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas they just want you to, like you said, they just want you to solve that one problem, provide them with a solution, and then you're in good shape. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I had a client that did all their sales calls virtually, right? So they had a sales deck, and their sales deck was 32 slides.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, okay, you literally went through everything that's good about your product, every feature and benefit, and that's great. But what I can tell you right now is your clients don't care.
Yep.
And you're exhausting yourself just for them to say no, and then you got to turn around and do it again the next hour, So let's get this down to 5 slides. And let's not open it up until we've identified at least three pain points, And so once we got that in place, their conversion rate went from 11% to like 22%, just like overnight, what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
And because they're listening finally, just like you said, so it surprises me. It does not surprise me at all that was the number one thing for sure. And so is there kind of a structure that you follow? Like, do you do an audit process first and then go into basically, all right, here's the pain points in your sales process and here's how we're going to solve them? Or is it more, we're just going to start here and then we're going to work our way through these steps?
I audit. So because I'm used to talking to people and I'm used to talking to CEOs and CFOs with my day job, I'll get the business owner, the entrepreneur, whoever they are, and I get them on a call and I have them tell me about the business. And because they like to talk about it, they do. And I have them tell me about their sales process and their client and all the different stuff. And then I customize the plan toward what they're trying to sell, their needs, their wants, their type of stuff. So like to give you an idea, I did an insurance company recently. They do Medicaid for elderly people. And I might say they're on Medicare, Medicaid, one of those groups, right? Yeah. I customized their plan on how to greet the elderly person, set the call up, and then how to overcome the different objections, and they increased by 30% because their reps were at the beginning going and following a script of just talking about the company, talking about the company, talking about the company. Well, when I went in and I said, hey, connect with them, kind of like you do with door knocking. You're talking to
Right.
grandma. So talk to you like you're talking to grandma, you know?
Yeah.
And they came in, they were empathetic, and they connected with them. Hey, we just want to help you out. We switched that. Then when they would give the objection, we switch it back to helping the customer out, and that's kind of how that one worked. And I just do that with any company I'm with. It doesn't matter, B2B, B2C. It's still the same process, but you just need to find out, hey, what are their pain points? Why are they struggling? Is it you're not connecting with the customer? You're not prospecting enough? Your message is not the right message for who you're hitting with. You're not finding your ideal client. What is it that you're going to do? So I don't do the, and I'm just going to say, I don't do the Grant Cardone, this is the only way you do this, bang, 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 bang them.
Right.
I customize it, set it up for them, because in the B2B space, it does not work that way. Really, in the B2C space, if you want to be successful, it doesn't work that way. You get some sales, but you don't get raving fans. You don't get the things that you actually need.
Right. Which is free leads.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Referrals, amazing testimonials, raving fans, you know. I think that comes with customization for sure. And I couldn't agree with you more. While the framework is the same for all the customers that I work with, the juicy parts, the ways of overcoming objections that they're going to use is completely different from this other company. You know, the only time I see one of the things that I see a lot, and I don't know, you tell me this, is I'll start with the sales program, and I'll almost, well, one in the discovery call, I'll have to push them to a CRM first. So I'll have to push them. You know, I work with a collective now, and we have a partnership in a group consulting firm. And one of the guys is the GOAT when it comes to sales systems and CRMs, follow up, you know, calendars, you know, the copy that you write for the email campaign afterwards.
Yep.
He does all that stuff. So I pass them over to him first, get them set up there, and then they can come back to me. If they don't have a CRM in place, like, what are we even doing? You're a chicken running around with your head cut off, basically. So, but I do, when I go in to the business, I realize, oh, dude, they don't even have their ops set up. They don't have a hierarchy. They don't have a quarterly meeting to set their goals. You know what I mean? These are like simple business structures that, because they're a tradesman, they're an expert in their field, and they've, you know, gone from being an employee to being the business owner to like making their first $100,000 and just driving the business forward, and never really put systems and processes in place.
Yeah.
So I'll have to go backwards almost and establish that first, and then we can get into the sales program. You know, are you experiencing the same thing?
Yeah, and it really just depends on the group that you're with. But yeah, it's like they have an idea. Maybe they have one salesperson that's really, really good, and they have some other people that are doing it, but they don't have a duplicable system. And you need a duplicable system. Like, I make more money because I am consistent. I time block. I have a set structure that I do with my B2B every day. Doesn't matter if I'm feeling good or feeling bad. Doesn't matter if I'm excited or not. I'm going to come, show up with the right energy, have the right processes, because at the end of the day, you can only control your inputs. And I think that's the thing.
And that will be a talented salesperson every time. So I have, it's not even theory. This is like my philosophy, right? And so I would much rather have 5 average salespeople than, you know, 2 talented ones and 3 average ones, right? Because those 5 average, I can basically tweak the sales program and get the output based, because I need a consistent output. I need a consistent work ethic and a consistent value alignment. If I have that, man, the sky's the limit, because now I just have to build the system for them. They go and work the system. If there's an issue with conversion rates within the system, then we can go and identify that, solve it, and then we can continue to scale. Like you said, it has to be a duplicatable system in order to be able to do that. So that's a huge piece and a huge takeaway from this, that the alignment is real. You know what I mean? Like, and then I can hear it, like, as you're talking, and things that you're saying are the exact, there's a lot of alignment there. So I know you know your stuff, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing that with us for sure.
And that's why we have a job, because we don't have to train the elite salespeople. They might have their own quirky little things that they're going to do, but they're going to do their things. But if I can get that middle 60% to be 10 to 20% better, the company wins, because they're the ones that get most of the deals consistently. Like, you're going to have every team's going to have that superstar. Let the superstar do what they do as long as they're not a cancer to your organization.
Right.
Then you get your next group in that process, and then they're happier, they're making more money, and then you just drop the bottom 20%. That's the other thing that they don't like to do. But if you got the 20% that's not producing, drop them. Maybe you can get another 10%, and then you only have 10% that's bad.
Yeah. And on the superstar subject, like I see it happen all the time where they cater to the superstar, they change the sales program for the superstar, and they don't realize that they're just doing it for them and not the rest of the sales team, right? And so if the the top producer is requiring all these things, then when one thing doesn't go their way, you just train them to get their way. So when they don't get their way, they bounce, and all of a sudden you have a sales program built for them and not for the rest of your team. And I see it happen. There's the fear is so big because they don't know how to duplicate what that superstar is doing. You know what I'm saying? But once you develop that system and you're able to duplicate it, then all of a sudden you have confidence instead of fear because I could just hire 5 more guys tomorrow.
Yeah, and then you just let the superstar go. Like, really, because you don't want to rely on one person. What if they leave? What if they get sick? What if they do something so bad you have to let them go? Yeah. Duplicatable. I know everyone's like wanting to be the superstar because that's how you make the most money. But if you follow a selling system like we're talking about right now, you can make 100, 200, 300, 500, $1 million, depending on your program, and not even be called the superstar. You're still doing better than most other people.
Yeah. No, 100%. I couldn't agree more. All right, let's pivot over to recruiting. So, recruiting falls under operations for me because a lot of times it's going to be a lot of that system is going to be done by the staff, by the support team, maybe even the leaders, right? But in that situation, kind of how are you setting them up to grow in terms of quality recruiting versus quantity recruiting? You got a door-to-door company that needs bodies. You got a B2B company that needs a high-end salesperson. Where are you working in the system in that space?
With recruiting, it's more of setting them up to what program they are. Because, door to door, you're going to take whoever you can get. That's that's
Walk
a
and chew
weird
gum.
system. They can show up. I'm going to kind of train them, but that's kind of an entry-level type of thing. If you're in the B2B space, you want to make sure you have the right people. So what motivates salespeople? It's really simple. Commission, 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 benefits. It's really that. Because if I was interested in benefits and a good salary, I wouldn't do sales. Because then I could come in and I'd have I can make $80,000 a year. Oh, if I work really hard, I can make $120,000 a year. I would make the commission system set up the best for the salespeople that when they do the things that I want them to do, which is prospecting, follow-up, cold calling, doing all those type of things, it works. And then I really am big on prospecting. That is my thing, honestly, because if you get enough people in your pipeline, even if you're an average salesperson, if you get enough people in that pipeline, you're going to sell more than the guy that's amazing. Yeah, and you just keep repeating
system.
Yep.
No, I couldn't agree more. When you look at kind of those, and I get asked this all the time, and it's my least favorite question because now I've got to retrain their brain. I get that question, and you can answer it in the way you would, which is, how do I recruit better salespeople?
It comes down to how you have it set up. What are you projecting? Who do you connect with? Who do you want to see going and being your voice, your person, your face? If it's door to door, you might want to be, and you're in a really nice area, you can have a certain demographic and group you want to do it to. Yeah. If it is over the phone, here's a crazy thing. You might want to have women do it because guess what? Men will listen to women more and they can get through gatekeepers easier sometimes because of the ability to connect. It's just finding that right person for you. It depends on, do they have your core values? Are they going to take care of your customer correctly? Are they going to do what you ask them to do? Can you trust them? I'm really big on that. And I know it's kind of hard to recruit that, but you have to recruit out and grab people in. And then in the interview process, set your standards high. Tell them what's expected. Find out what they've done before. And then check. I would be like, I need references. Okay, cool. Yeah. You said you sold $200,000 for that company. Great. Can I talk to them because I want to know really what happened? Why aren't you there if you sold that much? Like, I'll ask hard questions in that interview process because I want the best people to serve my people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's I would, when I ask that question, it's like, why aren't you there anymore? I would get the same answer every time. Oh, it was the manager. Oh, it was this person had a vendetta, and I'm like, alrighty, you're a problem. right away you're a problem. You're not telling me I feel like I had a ceiling on me. You're not telling me like I wanted to grow more, I wanted to learn more, and I didn't feel like I could do it there. You're telling me, oh, so and so had a problem with me. There was drama. And as soon as I
Yeah,
hear
that's
that, I'm like,
automatic out.
nope, you're
Yeah,
out.
automatic out. Can't do it. No. You want the people that are growing. I would actually take someone that's young, that's hungry, saying, "Hey, I'm learning sales. I wanted to do this. I want to grow. That I
Yeah,
can train." Then someone that's there and goes, "Oh, this guy did that, and I got blah blah blah." Because it's 100% ownership in sales, just like in entrepreneurship. You have to own it. It's on you. No one's coming to save you. No one's coming to help you.
yeah.
In that regard, you are going to have to own it. So yeah, I agree with you 100% there.
I think it's funny how the recruiting process kind of mirrors the sales process. Especially when you're recruiting maybe a little more volume than quality, and you basically are pitching them the opportunity a little bit, right? And so it's not a sexy position, B2B telemarketing sales, right? Talking
Yeah.
to people that maybe don't want to be talked to, right? And so there is a little pitching happening, right? And so it's very similar. Intro, build rapport, make sure that you align in terms of energy, right? And then you get into the qualify, like what are your pain points about your previous positions, or what are the I guess the motivations that you're even here, and then speaking to those in the presentation process when you're talking about compensation, when you're talking about basically the sales process, and then you close after you've identified all those pain points, identified all those motivations, and how your company is going to bring them in. So I think it's hand in hand with the sales process, and this happens in recruiting. It happens with the staff. It happens with the actual sale, obviously. And then when you're talking about doing business, like your company with another company, it's all intro, qualify, present, close. You know what I mean?
Life is a
Life.
sale.
Yeah.
Life is always a sale. It doesn't matter. Like I do a lot of I've been in a lot of interviews and I'm always talking to them. I'm like, well, with my role, this is what you have to do. If you're doing phone sales, it's like going to the bar at 6 o'clock trying to take a girl home. If
Yeah.
you're in the inbound team, you're at midnight. They're picking someone. You
Yeah.
have to have the ability to like. I like painting pictures because sales stories sell. It's just kind of that thing. I'll do that, but then I'll pop them with just different questions like, how would you respond to this type of situation? What would you do if this happened? You say that you can dial. Tell me about your week. What was the most you dialed in with? I was like literally. They'll bring me in because they want someone
Call
to
them on
pop
their
them a little
bullshit.
bit.
Yeah.
And I'll just like, look, I don't care. You're not going to affect my paycheck. I have no skin in the game. I want to know how you're going to work. And it's just it's funny to see people's responses. But life is a sale.
Yeah.
We just get paid for it because we're smart enough to say, yeah, I want to get paid for what I can do.
Okay, so is there a point where you're going to hang up the sales headset for the consulting and podcasting headset? What's next for your company and your plans?
That's in the future. So it's not a set date yet because I make really good money in sales. So I have a deal with my wife. I had to make more than what I'm making in my day job to make that move. That makes perfect sense.
It's a logical role.
Yeah, I've been sales coaching part-time for about a year, more intentionally for about 6 months. So I have a plan and a strategy in my life that I'm trying to do. I'm shifting. I told you before the thing, I'm shifting probably the podcast. This will be the first time I've said it on public, but I'm shifting my podcast from the 150K to more my name and more my brand and what I'm doing so I can build that up. Because again, as we know in entrepreneurship, you have to be able to build your name, be brand recognition, help people do that type of stuff. My goal really is to help people build life by design and a life that they love to do. And sales is the tool belt. That's what I'm going to use. So I would say probably within the next, I don't like putting exact dates on it yet because I have like really big goals, but I bet you within the next 2-3 years, if we're recording the podcast again, we'll be talking from a different spot. And because it's just a natural progression. Like I'm having opportunities come to me because I've done the work. I've became an overnight success in 18 years, whatever. I've done all that stuff. And so I'm at the point now where I'm helping people, and it's just going to get to the point where there's so much business, me helping them, that I can't do both. And then I will just transition over to doing it full time. And then from there, building it up and making it into what I want it to be. And yeah.
I love it, brother. I'm excited for you, and I have no doubt that it'll probably be less than 2 years. You know what I'm saying? As far as I'm concerned, and I am full time now, right? So looking back, you've got all the systems; they're all up here. You know what I mean? And then you're issuing them to your clients. But let me ask you this, and this is just unsolicited advice, so forgive me.
Oh, no, please do.
But are you putting those systems? So one of the most effective tools I've found is to give it away for free, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not to the clients necessarily, but to social media, to people in need that need the help. And what's going to happen is clients are going to come out of that, because what I feel like happens is they get it for free and they don't use it, and they realize, hey, I need someone to execute this.
Mm-hmm.
And when they then the value's built, and so when they see that invoice for 5, 10, 25K, then they have value behind it, because they know, well, okay, I have to hire a sales manager, and they're not going to be experienced as Joe is to build this out, and so I'm bringing Joe in for a quarter, you know what I mean, and then I can have a sales manager take over after he builds it out,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I'm finding a lot of success with.
Yeah, and I do give a lot for free. Like, that's the podcast, 140
Yeah,
episodes.
that's what we're doing right now.
What
Yeah.
we're doing right now. I mean, really, if people were thinking, they could go to our information right now and they could become the most successful salespeople they are. But really, coaches are there for accountability. Coaches are there to guide you and when you trip up and shorten time, and that's what we do. I do give a lot of stuff away for free. I've done free trainings. A lot of times I might do even like, okay, you got to pay $50 to do a training with me, whatever, if I'm doing a group class, just different things to give people the opportunity, because I think what you give out, what you do comes back to you. Like, I've gotten a lot of my clients because I did something for free for them in the beginning, like, dude, I need you to come and help me. And then he referred me to another client. Then he referred me to another client. Why? Because once you get that going, and if you can stay in that referral-based aspect, it's so much easier, because now Tim's going to go tell Sally, he's going to go tell Bill that you did it, and you just take care of the customer, and it comes back to you. Universal law, God, however you want to put it, it comes back to you. If you're giving stuff out over and over again, what you sow, you reap. If you want to go biblical, because I remember you were talking about like that stuff. Like it's a law. You can't like outgive it. It will come back to you. The problem is if you're in lack or scarcity, that's what comes to you. If you're holding on to it too tight, that's what comes to you.
I couldn't agree more. It's there's another term for it, law of reciprocity.
Mm-hmm.
What you put out, you'll get back. Love it. Okay, last two questions. This used to be the last question, and then somebody corrected me that it was two questions.
Nice.
What does legacy mean to you, and what legacy do you want to leave behind?
Oh, that's a good question. So legacy to me would be how people think of me when they hear my name. Was I a good father? Was I a good friend? Did I do what I say? Did I hold my word? Was I able to impact people for the good? Was I able to accomplish the things I wanted to do? So that whole concept of legacy for me is that. So for me, I want to be the best person I can be and help as many people as possible for as long as I live. I want to be able to do what I want to do, travel wherever I want to travel, do the things I want to do, and just be authentically me and help as many people as possible. I know that's kind of cliche-ish in a lot of ways, but that's just kind of how I think. That's how my mind works.
Well, I think, and I don't know that it's age-based. It's more growth-based, experience-based. I think that's where a lot of people end up, the ones that are truly out to give, and that are truly want to make an impact like that. That is a universal answer. There's different variations of it, different frameworks for it, but at the end of the day, it ends in impact, and I love that was your answer, and I look forward to seeing what you do with your business. Man, we almost made it all the way through.
Sorry, my daughter just got home, and all the dogs
all right, brother.
Crazy. I apologize.
Well, if anybody's watching this and they want to reach out, they want to hire you for the services, or they just want to follow you and be impacted by you, where can they do that at?
Sure. On Instagram, it's pretty easy. It's Joe Graham Real. I just changed that there. If you want to check out the podcast, that's real easy to catch me there. It's the 150K Podcast. I have a group on Facebook called the 150K Podcast, LinkedIn. Pretty much everything has the same picture, same thing. I just try to keep it simple and easy.
Awesome, brother. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Sorry the dogs barked at the end, guys.
It's all good. Let's get building, guys.